Alright, we are recording, it would appear, and we are going to go through quickly here an initial setup, stick it out to YouTube and evaluate. This is for Civil 3D drafting on the network here at the institution, which for the moment shall remain nameless. We will be looking at both the overall environment of the network, in other words, pre-designating a place called the K drive for all of your files, or the standards, I'm sorry. That being on a network here, something that we maintain, and when you go home, that will be a directory or a folder on your drive, or on your flash drive, which will mean on a recurrent basis, based on some notice of change, you will just re-download from the network that set of files that are out on the K drive. You needed to go through and map a location on your network or in the cloud to the K drive, and from there you then proceed into Civil 3D. You will then, and you always need to be aware of using visual clues to make sure that your environment is set right. We are going to use the black space for the visual clue of us being set up somewhat correctly. Remembering in AutoCAD, besides setting your overall network environment, you have to set up your profile. And you set up your profile in this way. You right-click to go to the Options command. And realistically, it's just the Options command is the command you want to learn within AutoCAD. Hit Options there, and you're going to see here in a second a lot of files, a lot of things that you're going to more or less have to access. The kinds of things that you'll find that you're going to need to check realistically that'll change from home to campus is particularly the printer support file path right here, this plot style search path. That's a big one to go to the standards that will be here from the DOT and both what we use on campus. For the most part, we are using, at least within Mark Patak's classes, named plot styles. That comes from the DOT. It's also pretty much a standard nowadays that we tend to use because of the amount of nuancing we're doing for different plotters or different file structures. We really want to be able to control how things look when we plot them, and also be able to control them where they look on the screen. Another interesting one you're going to see over time that will change will be the customization file. Right now, this customization file is installed. It's the standard one from Civil 3D, but that's another one that you might want to have your customization file set up individually, so that if you can kind of pull in what you want to do for extra things that you might get if you go from one program to another. So that's all these data points are stored then. Template locations, template settings are all stored and pulled in by pulling in a profile. So we're going to go out here to Profiles, and we're going to see on a regular basis that these are all going to be, it's going to be reset to the Civil 3D Imperial. At the moment, we're going to need to then go ahead and re-import and reset current whatever one we want to use. So for doing that right now, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of all these. I'm going to delete it, yes, delete it, yes, delete it, yes, and I'm going to delete them all because the potential is that perhaps they weren't current. So now you go out and import from a standard place. That standard place will be someplace out in the K drive or in your directory that's called the K drive in the standards for Civil 3D and in the profiles. You see I have an entire classes set of profiles put out here. I'm just going to go out to this one here right now, open it, apply and close, and then the unfortunate thing is you have to set current. It's just kind of odd how that works. You hit OK. Now you have set up the profile correctly, you've already set the environment correctly, and you have a couple of visual checks now. The first one would be to go to File, even if you're in an existing file, go to File, New, And if you have that short list, then something is working well. If you do not have that short list, it's shown that it actually has changed the templates to a spot called Standard Civil 3D Templates, again on the K drive. The other visual check that will very often be problematic will be if you go here and click on that, which is the tool space, if you do not get this here. Now I'll cover if you do not get that visual, which is showing you the more or less straightforward set of assemblies. If you do not get that visual check, then there's something a little bit more awry in your C documents and settings, application data, AutoCAD, yada yada yada, down to the point where you have to kind of switch out your support directory and switch something back in there. We will work with IT to see if we can get that kind of installing correctly, but learning to go through when you sit down at a computer and check on these initial settings is something that I believe is important enough to make you pull your hair out a little bit here, so that when you get going in industry, you actually are smart enough and more resilient enough to not let a small thing on your computer throw you off. You need to make sure that you have set your environment correctly. At this point, you're kind of good to go. I'll go through finally. I'm going to make one change now to that profile just to show how you export out, and that change is going to be I'm going to change where the plot style tables are. So I do that change by hitting a right click, options. I go now to the point of files, and I can change the printer support file path, the plot style search path. I click on it and I say remove. Now I can actually browse, but I should know it's in K, Standards 3D, etc. But I'm going to browse out to the K drive, Standards, Civil 3D, to which we don't have actually. I'm going to go back here and go to Standards AutoCAD and go to the point where I say pen tables, and we're going to let it know that the pen tables is where in fact our plot tables are, right? And we're going to go more or less, we'll check on the plotting whether we're going to put that plot style path in Civil 3D Standards and AutoCAD Standards, but the reality is it's probably something that should be perhaps in its own plotting standards place. We're going to hit apply, hit OK, and our check as another final visual check that everything's working okay then will be to say something like plot, type plot, and see when we kick out here that in fact that we have each of these pen tables kind of the way they're supposed to be here, that they're STB, and that you can actually find them. That pen table will be very important. The other thing we'll be working on in the next couple weeks is to get our printer and page setups correct, so you don't have this kind of set of choices that don't necessarily have any information or data attached to them, that we have some pages and names kind of set up. So I'm going to hit cancel here. If I like the way that looks, I'm going to now hit right click, options, profiles, export, and I'm going to export that out now to that standard location, which is the K drive, Standard Civil 3D, profiles, and I can give it a name to go right over the top. I'll do it September 14 Civil 3D, and if I hit save here, it should give me that. Replace it, yes, and that means the next time I come down and update that, everything will be okay. All right, I'm going to stop this. I probably went a little long. I don't know if I can edit it down. It looks like I'm relatively okay. I get 10 minutes on YouTube. I'm going to stop and finish right now. See ya, bye.